Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Adam. I'm here with the Use.
What's up, guys?
And we got a 3-1 victory against Valencia. If you like that score, subscribe to this video. Let us know in the comments your thought. Because, hey, we got an early goal, right, which is kind of an issue we've been having, an early goal up against us with a long shot from Gaya that just, bounced off Ter Stegen's fingertips. But I like the resiliency of the team, right? We had Fati come out with a 1-2 with Depay and get a nice goal from outside the box. Then you had Fati drawing a penalty that Depay put away very convincingly. And at the end of the game, you had Coutinho put away after a nice Dest run and retaining of the ball. He crossed it in, Coutinho scores, seals the game in like the 83rd minute, and Barca win 3-1. And this game is a little bit of a hard shell to unpack because there were some very good things that we saw, and then there were some familiar foes in that our defense wasn't too strong and our midfield again looked a little bit weak defensively and offensively compared to what we want. But let's get at the top the good things from this game, right? And I think there's two big things. The first one we should break down, Use on the Barca Breakdown, is Sergino Dest as the right wing looked really good. And that is credit on two fronts. One, to Koeman for playing Dest up there. I do wonder if Koeman saw how Dest scored that wonderful goal for the U.S. men's national team last week in the international break and thought, hey, we're lacking width on the right side. Luke De Jong's not working. Let's put Dest there. However, he came up with the idea. Dest worked out really well on the right wing, and I think everyone is happy. You saw the Camp Nou applaud him. Dest give his jersey away to a young fan. It was overall pretty awesome. And so it was Koeman, a plus for him to start him there, and then also just Dest himself was balling out, right? He created a lot of offense there. It seemed like Dest on the right wing was part of the abandonment of this whole cross and pray that we've been seeing for Barca in the last few weeks. And so let me know, Yus, what did you think about Dest, Koeman's idea to play him there? I mean, overall, we have to be pretty happy, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dest playing on that forward wing made it so he didn't have to put so much defensive time into the game and could focus on that right wing, create some space, get the ball in towards Fati Depay. I really liked his performance today, and I think that, if this can continue, but we will have Dembele back at some point, so we'll see what happens there.
It just gives us options, right, on the wing.
Exactly,
because,
yeah.
In previous games, I think against Bayern, we had Dest as right back, and we had Sergio Roberto as the right wing back position. And one of the common things everyone saw in that Bayern game is that they would just give Sergio Roberto as much space as they needed.
Yep. And
clearly, he doesn't have the pace or the passing ability to really make the most of that spot. And so it was good for Koeman to put Dest there because he is able to make those runs and to make those passes. And he does have that threatening shot that just creates a lot more options and a lot more, unpredictability from that right wing spot. I
think he's also getting more familiar with that, offensive attack, and I think he's kind of growing into it. We saw like you said, in the international game for the United States, he made that goal. He's getting a little more familiar, and he's also still very young, like the squad we had on the pitch today.
True.
So if you had in the front, Depay, Dest, Fati, who again has started his first game after his injury. And then you got the midfield, FDJ, Busquets, Gavi, another young one on the list.
I mean, you're really onto something here. And this, if you go back to our first video after Messi left Barca, part of what we said would be refreshing is hey, it's no longer like every game is a reflection of Messi's legacy and that each loss is something we have to cry about and be like, oh my God, we only have X amount of years of Messi left. How could we lose this again in the Champions League? Now, we when you get rid of Messi, you're in a full rebuild, which means that you have to have patience and expect for the young players to really get better now and not expect them to be, in the Dest situation, Dani Alves, right, at the age of 20. And so I think the fans in the last few weeks, listen, we're all upset about the performances and we all don't think Koeman's doing well enough as coach. But with some of these young players, you're going to have to let them play bad sometimes and improve, right?
Yeah.
Because no one who's 20, 21, 19, 18 is going to just consistently be a Barca player from 2011. And so Dest himself, this game kind of shows that, hey, he's going to have 2 steps forward, but then might have a step back, right? He might have 3 steps forward and 1 step back. And because we're in a rebuild and because we know this, we need to have just a little bit, as fans, a little bit more patience and let these players develop. Because, you mentioned Fati, which is, I think, the second thing we're going to go into in a second. But he's young, too. And he is playing with Depay. And Depay, this game looked a little bit more lost. And part of that is because he hasn't played with Fati that much. He hasn't played with Dest as right wing enough. And so we're going to have to just buckle in and have some patience and let the players learn to play with each other a lot more than before, because there's no longer that, oh my God, we haven't scored in 60 minutes. Let's just pray Messi will score for us somehow.
Sure. And that's the big highlight of what Koeman has done, that, to give him a little bit of props, is that he's using these young players and giving them the time that they need to develop. I know he doesn't have too much of a choice, but he was even doing that before we got here. But, like you said, Fati, what a wonderful performance, starting the game off, scoring a goal to equalize after we went down 0-1, and then also drawing the penalty in the box, and then Depay, a beautiful finish, And the highlight of that is that he seemed pretty confident. He looked like he moved well. He even looked like he was connecting with Depay a little bit on that goal that he had. He passed the ball to Depay. Depay set him up, just a little touch, and placed it perfectly.
That's the cool thing about Fati. It's something that's very unique about him, is that he just does seem to always have a knack for getting at least one great shot on goal every game. Right?
That's what we missed, though.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
For so long, yeah.
And, 3 months, right, since Messi.
That's so long.
But, that's the cool thing. Fati is definitely the second big point of this game, and he just overall looks so good. Like you're saying, on the one front, there doesn't seem to be a lot of remnants of any sort of, knee issue or any sort of soreness. I never see him, clutching at his knee, and, we just pray that will continue on for the rest of the season. And then on top of it, he just has a knack for getting a good shot on goal. And, today was a pretty wonderful goal. It reminds me of Messi a lot. Messi's been scoring so many outside-of-the-box goals. It's great to see our new number 10 do that, and he offers us a lot of options. And I think what's really going to take this team to the next level, as Koeman has been saying for a few weeks, is he needs to get people healthy, right? That's the big thing, is that you notice in this game we had Sergio Aguero to put on late, right? In the 65th minute, when Fati when kind of after the halftime, Barca lost a little bit control of the game, and Valencia was having more luck, or more, not luck, but more better play against us. We took off Fati, then we had Coutinho come in, and he's playing a little bit deeper, helped our midfield kind of get the ball forward and not lose it so quickly.
Sure.
And that's part of what having a healthier Barca does, is instead of putting in, Nico, Gavi, these young players in as our subs in the second half. Now we're putting in Coutinho. Now we're putting in Sergio Aguero. We're putting on a little bit, and we put on Nico. So we're able to mix a little bit more of seasoned veteran players with the young players, and that's going to help, I think, ease us as we go on the season to make better rotations. And, once we get Dembele back, he's going to provide that width on the left or the right side that's really going to open up the game.
That's another highlight, though, to Koeman in this sense, is now he is using those subs at appropriate times, right? We had that stagnant first 20 minutes or so to the second half, and, he recognized that, and for once, I think, and made a sub. And I'm happy about that, and we also need to give the idea that it seemed like on the pitch, we were planning a little bit more. We had things set up more. We looked like we tried to do 1-2 passes to set somebody up on goal, and now that goes to Koeman again. Koeman seemed to have a little bit of a plan. Now,
that's where you lose me a little bit.
I said a little bit, but I was going to say...
Go ahead.
But... those are small highlights, and I like those things. But at the end of the day, I don't think Koeman is going to do enough, because this game was against Valencia. Not so great team. They haven't had a lot of points. We just passed them up on points. So I think they're about 9th place or so.
Yeah, what you're getting at is exactly what the issue has been for Koeman a lot, is that with our team, we can do well against Levante. We did well against Valencia, who don't look as good this season as seasons past. But we're coming against Kiev in the Champions League. Okay, that team we should be able to do well against, although we thought the same thing about Benfica.
Yep.
But then we have the Clasico next Sunday.
A week from today,
right? Yeah, next Sunday. And so you do wonder if these tactics, so-called, will transition. Because as much, we got away from the cross and pray, right? Luc de Jong's not in the center. Depay and Fati aren't notorious headers of the ball. Araujo wasn't in the game. So that whole cross strategy out the window.
True.
And there was a little bit more of building up. I still think our team lacks they lack the roles when we get in the box to know who should do what to make a goal happen. Sometimes it feels like we get the ball to the box, and then all the players kind of don't know, and they're scrambling on their own to figure out how to create offense. There doesn't seem to be a good routine and tactical setup there.
To create space around that time.
Yeah, but that's the issue, is that, this was an improvement, and we shouldn't be that negative, because, hey, we got the 3 points, and we're only, I think, off Real Madrid, 5 points, and we have a game in hand, something like that. And so there's things to build on here, but at the same time, the defense did not look that good.
No.
Valencia scored really early on. If Ter Stegen hadn't been better this game, they would have had more goals, and if the post didn't help us, they would have had more goals. Sure. And then our midfield still feels like there's something lacking. I mean, Busquets and Frenkie De Jong, sure, they don't have Pedri, who they're used to. They're playing with Gavi, who's somewhat new. They're playing with Fati and Dest. There are some new elements to this team that they haven't played with before. But I still feel like we need to get more out of Frenkie De Jong, right? If we go back to my prediction of the 10 games of La Liga, I thought Frenkie De Jong would be the breakout player. And so far, I'm just not. It's hard to say because he is very good. Yeah. But I want Frenkie De Jong to be excellent, to be world class, and he's almost there. But I just feel like he's not consistently being a game changer, which is a high bar, but I think it's a bar that I want to see, and I think Frenkie De Jong can achieve.
I think he'll get there, and he's
not like Gavi young, he's not Fati young. You know, we're talking about a player. I think Frenkie De Jong's 25. We're with a player here who is going to obviously keep improving, but this is around when you would start to expect to see that.
Sure. I think that with the way we've been playing, it's a little hard to get all we want from Frenkie De Jong because his tendency sometimes is not so many passing and facilitating in the midfield. Sometimes we see him doing runs like we saw today, pushing forward, trying to create space. And if he's not familiar with like Depay, Fati, Dest as being his front, he doesn't really, maybe not as so much practice to go with those players and develop there. So I agree with you, but I also think there's so many variables right now. It's really hard to solidify some game plan. But, I think he'll get better. You totally have a point there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should be interesting, right? And I think we complain a lot if Koeman plays the same team all the time, and then when he plays a new team, we also kind of complain. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this team kind of settles in because now, we got Kiev, we got Real Madrid, which we're all very excited for. I think my only last few statements are, Eric Garcia and Piqué looked, not super good this game. I still feel like Eric Garcia, I feel like Lenglet should have some time to show what he has because I think he might be our second best option at center back. And then besides that, I was glad to see Mingueza come on. I think he hasn't been able to capture his excellence that he was starting to show at the end of last season. We all remember that famous blowout between Koeman and Mingueza. I think it was during the Clasico. I remember when it was raining and Koeman yelled at him. I feel like Mingueza's still been in the doghouse since then, and so I'm glad to see him keep coming on. But other than that, let's hope. Is this a springboard use? What's your prediction for Kiev and then Real Madrid?
Not a springboard, like I said. I think.
Okay. Do you think we're at least going to win against Kiev in the Champions League? Because if we don't win those 3 points, we have no shot at making it out the groups.
I think we're going to draw.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's so negative, guys. I think we're going to win 3-1.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think the score will be because we need these 3 points, and we will see you guys after the game. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.